Welcome to Health Oddity, the show that strips away the jargon and hype surrounding all things health and fitness to help you live a long, strong and energetic life. Lining up at the bar this week, here's Peter Lant, Paul Bassett and James St. Pierre.
Hello and welcome to the Health Oddity podcast, episode 70. And if you are listening on the launch day, which I'm sure you are, I'm sure none of you have anything better to do on New Year's Eve than listen on the launch day. But it is New Year's Eve, and we are joined to finish off what's been an incredible year on the podcast. Certainly, it hasn't been an incredible year for everyone, I know that, but we are finishing off 2021 with a great guest today, all the way from America. But what I'll do first of all is introduce the usual co-hosts of the Health Oddity podcast, Mr. Paul Bassett in Putney. How are you doing, Paul?
For me first. I'm all right.
I thought I'd throw a curveball there because I remember last time you said I always go to Pete first.
I'm staring at Pete, waiting for him to answer, even when I hear my name. No, I'm celebrating New Year's Eve here. Yeah, just to get into the spirit of things, you know. I don't know what I'll do for New Year's Eve. Last time I just fell asleep before, I think it was about 11:15. So you can blame the children for that.
That's a late night for me, 11:15.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. A couple of drinks and I'm just out for the count. So yeah, other than that, I'm all right. Just ticking over. And how is Mr. Peter Lant in Bath or Bath? I know you are now out of quarantine. You've done your COVID time and you're back out in the public, as it were.
Yeah, absolutely. Out and about. I've done loads of walk. I've walked about 70 miles in the last week because I couldn't get out and about. So I've been taking the boy out and I've done loads. So it's lush. So when you're going on about it's been a bit of a challenging year and all that, I've survived COVID. So I'll chalk that up as a win.
You'll have a beer. You'll have a beer to that this evening on New Year's Eve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And well, this afternoon, because I don't usually drink in the evening because I'm usually asleep. so start early, like about 5 o'clock and finish about 7 and then go to bed. But okay. But no, I'm excited about this one because our guest trains outside and what have you and does lots of unconventional and stuff, which is similar to what I do as well. So that's pretty good, except I do it in the freezing cold over here.
And our guest today, joining us all the way from California. It's 6:30 in the morning for him. So again, we're really grateful for him getting out of bed and getting on with us. Is someone I've followed for a long time on social media. It's not someone I've ever actually conversed with and spoke to before, so it's going to be really good just to get to know someone new and make a new friend. You know, it's always good to connect across the world, which is fantastic. And he's good friends with two-time former guest Mr. Maceman Rick Brown, and Rick is someone who kind of connected us recently and said you've got to get Eric on the podcast. He'd be great. So we have Mr. Eric Doyle from California in USA. How are you doing, Eric?
I'm doing awesome, man. Bright and early. Looking forward to being here.
Bright and early and ready to go. Good.
I've been a personal trainer for 15 years, man. Early's not a problem for me.
Okay, yeah. So Eric is on Instagram as Unconventional Athlete, and so we'll give him a plug early, and then we'll give him a plug at the end as well, obviously. But Eric, if you can just kind of maybe introduce yourselves to our listeners, and so people know, kind of like I mentioned before we press record, a bit about your you've got quite an interesting backstory, and your backstory, what you do, how long you've been doing it, why you do what you do, how you do what you do, and what you do, just so we can get to know you a little bit, if that's okay. Yeah,
totally, man. I mean, I'm born and raised in Seal Beach, California, which is next door to Long Beach. Great scenery, great location to grow up in. Wouldn't want to live anywhere else. But I was never a fit person. In fact, I didn't lift a weight until I was 22, 23 years old. Around here, I guess like more in the 90s, kids were playing a lot more sports. But I was more into video games though, man. I grew up a video game kid. I liked my fast food. My family liked to feed me. So I was overweight pretty much all of my childhood. I got up to about 250 pounds, and I'm 5'8". I'm not a big guy, so anything over 200 pounds doesn't do much for my athleticism. Then, you know, I was horrible at sports. I was good at video games, so I ended up spending more time in front of the TV. By the end of high school, I was 250 pounds. Hadn't had a date yet, but I was winning all the video games. You know, we had competitions, we had tournaments, and that's all I cared about at the time. But after I graduated high school, I had a friend that was taking me to the gym morning and night, and I lost 90 pounds in a year and a half. And that was my first real step in fitness. You know, it was cardio in the morning and then just general bodybuilding stuff in the evening, breaking me into the gym scene. But at least I had a friend that, he wasn't a trainer or anything, but at least he was taking me and we were going, and it worked. You know, I lost the weight. I'd never lost weight in my life.
I was just going to say for our listeners, Eric, so 250 pounds, that was, and you finished high school at what kind of age? You 16 when you finished high school?
18.
So at 18 years old, you were for people over here who I know a lot of our listeners still work in stones. It's kind of getting close to 18 stone, you know, for 250 pounds, and at 5'8", you know, you can imagine that. So just wanted to kind of give people that context. Yeah.
I had started playing sports, but as I got, you know, bigger and bigger and bigger every year, my performance was getting worse and worse and worse, to the point where I couldn't even hit the ball, and I damn sure couldn't run the bases. So sports kind of waned off later in the teens, and I became a lot more sedentary, and that's just kind of what a lot of people were doing back then. So got to the gym out of high school, and I from my experience of losing that weight, I became a trainer at 24 years old. Everyone's like, hey, you lost a lot of weight, you should do this. And there was a gym up the street. A friend had a job there. He got me a job. And like most trainers in the first year, I sucked. I completely didn't know what I was doing. I had no formal training. I mean, they'll hire personal trainers at these corporate gyms. Just, you know, you get a $99 weekend certification and you're in. So you kind of got to get good on your own. I had no experience besides my experience training with my friend. I was just kind of thrown to the wolves to learn to train people with conventional methods, with these bodybuilding methods I had never done before. So needless to say, I was kind of lost.
Yeah.
And,
can I just ask, so when you finished high school and your friends started taking you down to the gym, is that something that you made a decision that, you know, I'm 250 pounds. I
hadn't kissed a girl. I had no dates. I had no proms. I had none of that, man. So it was in my best interest that I look a little bit better and I go to the gym. And I mean, this is Southern California. You need to look good if you're going to go out.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
That was a big thing for me. I got tired of being the kid that just stayed home all the time and played video games. So it was time to, and plus I like to wrestle. I really liked to wrestling, and I was getting into jujitsu, but I wasn't physically fit for it. You know, I hadn't lifted any weights. I had done no training, but I like to do it. So if I'm going to go anywhere, move forward and get a hot girlfriend and get into some jujitsu, some wrestling, I got to get in shape. So, and at the time I didn't know. In fact, I believe back then most people were getting their information from downloaded files. Back in the day, everyone was downloading off Napster, and there was all these instructional videos that some of the professional trainers that were putting out, and that's where most people got their information back then.
So what year are we talking about here? Just so is this the 90s or
98, 99, 2000? Yeah.
Okay. So
it's actually before Kettlebells made their mark. I think that was 2002, 2003. There was the first RKC. This slightly predates that.
Yeah.
So, and I became a trainer at 24, and that's right when the kettlebell burst kind of came in. But I was getting those files too. I was seeing these PDF files from Pavel on these kettlebells and these things the Russians were doing, and I'm like, we don't have none of this. I've never seen any of this training. Turkish getup, kettlebells. What is all this stuff? So I was fascinated. I hadn't even got a hold of one yet, but I had the PDFs. I had the information and the techniques, but I couldn't find a kettlebell. This is 2000, 2002, 3. So once I got into it, I knew in my heart that this was my thing. You know, I didn't have to worry about waiting on a machine or how much did I bench press that day. I could just grab a kettlebell and go, grab the bag and go, grab the mace and go. It was just a very raw combat sports based grab and go type workout. And I just knew right away that it fit me. And then when I became a personal trainer at 24, they had us working on 30-minute personal training sessions. So you know, those go by very fast. If someone's late, has to go to the bathroom, the time goes by very, very fast. So they wanted quick workouts. They didn't want to sit on the bench press and do back workouts and try to squeeze leg workouts into 30 minutes. That's not going to happen. My clients love these unconventional workouts. I'd break out a kettlebell, a rope, and a sandbag, and I'd kick their butt in freaking 30 minutes, wouldn't let them rest, and they loved it. Pretty soon I had all the clients in the entire place training with me, and that kind of gave me the idea, hey, maybe we can open a gym for this. There's no other gym like it. Every gym is doing CrossFit or boot camp or yoga, Pilates. Nobody's doing unconventional stuff, and definitely not kettlebell. And then I discovered Kettlebell Sport, which added another layer on what we were doing.
So just for the kind of listeners, I know we probably the four of us know what we mean by, or know what you mean by unconventional training, but how would you categorize or explain just to someone who you know never heard these terms before, what would you describe as conventional training?
Conventional training would fall along the lines of bodybuilding training, machines, treadmills, things you would find in your typical corporate gym. Whereas unconventional tools would be something you find on the farm or your garage, middle of nowhere, and you're still banging out the same stuff. A conventional hinge would be a barbell deadlift, and an unconventional hinge would be a tire flip. You kind of take the same patterns and you use whatever the hell you got.
Yeah, so I suppose as well, a lot of the things that you're talking about, the kind of unconventional tools, would also be, many of them would be portable as well, wouldn't they? So you can take them outside, you can take them on the beach, you can take them in the park, you can do all that sort of stuff. Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And around here, as a personal trainer, if you've got your own stuff with the beach right there, you can get a lot of clients that want to work out on the beach and do these unconventional methods on the beach. And that's actually what I've been doing since COVID, and doing much better than when I had an actual facility. So there's a market for it. People like it. It works. It's fun. And once you kind of click with one of these tools, and for me, it's a kettlebell. That's my main one. So I can go to the beach and snatch kettlebell and be just fine. But a kettlebell, a sandbag, and a rope take up almost no space at all. And that could be a full workout right there on the beach and leave you in the dust.
And you were just going to start talking about your, because last week we had, well, not last week, 2 weeks ago, we had Tracy Rifkind on, and she was talking to us about the difference between hard style kettlebell and kettlebell sport. And what was your introduction to kettlebells? Did you go in through like a hard style certification, or did you go into kettlebell sport, or did you just kind of learn on the job and pick stuff up? What happened?
This is a funny story. So I went and got I picked up a kettlebell in 2007 from a friend. 2009, I signed up for the IKFF Steve Cotter certification. This is like the only one he's ever had out here in Southern California. Anyway, I signed up for it. Ken Blackburn was the guy teaching it. And I had pretty much taught myself up till this point. I hadn't met Rick yet. And there's no kettlebell instructor like around here. I couldn't find anybody. So I walked into the certification only knowing what I had seen on videotape, PDF, download. I think I had a couple Valerie Fedorenko videos and a couple Pavel videos, and I was going to show up and get certified. Well, I show up and I start snapping out swings and hard style breathing, and some guy comes up to me and he's like, "You're snapping your swings, man. What's going on?" I don't know if he had never seen hardstyle before, but he had never seen what I was doing. I had signed up for a Kettlebell Sport certification and not known it. I showed up there ready to hardstyle away. I'd never heard of kettlebell. I think I saw one Fedorenko video, but I hadn't put it together yet. I hadn't had enough experience that this was a sport cert different from a hardstyle. I thought they were all the same. So by the end of the first day, I'm thoroughly lost. I've never seen this scoop swing. I've never seen this relaxed stuff. So, and it's a 2-day cert. I literally canceled my hotel that night. I went home. I studied my ass off, trying to figure out what are they talking about? What is this Girovoy, the difference? So I had to go home and learn in one night kettlebell sport and show up the next day and pass jerks, snatches, breathing tests, and do the entire thing under a different style in one day. And I did.
So for listeners, the difference, I mean, we've spoken about this before, but I don't think we've gone into like the depth that you're kind of talking about there of the different breathing styles and relaxed versus tensed and snappy swings and all that sort of stuff. So if you're trying to do kettlebell sport, so the Girovoy stuff with a hard style technique and breathing, you're going to gas out in about a minute, aren't you? Where as opposed to trying to go for 10 minutes.
It's definitely meant for more of an anaerobic deal, and I don't think they ever program anything over 10 reps, but they're putting maximum effort into every single rep. That's the difference. It's like sprinting versus marathon running. It's the same activity, but
yeah. So what you were trying to do was sprint a marathon, basically.
Yeah, they could hear me breathing and putting 100% into my swings from across the room, and I was getting weird looks from everybody.
Probably worth us doing a podcast on breathing, isn't it?
By the end of the day, I'm like, something's not right. I feel out of place here. I feel like I'm doing too many things wrong, and I'm getting weird looks. So I went home and I studied. I figured out what was going on, and came back the next day and passed all the tests. Man, thank God.
Yeah. So you passed this the Steve Cotter kind of kettlebell sport certification then, and then you really got into kettlebell sport, didn't you? In terms of
I got into it, yeah.
Competing, after that.
That basically controlled the next 8 years of my life. That was the flagship of
That's
my
really
business.
getting into it. That is, the next 8 years. Yeah,
weird, man. I got obsessed. I got obsessed with not just the movements, but I had never competed. I wanted to wrestle. I wanted to do jujitsu. That never happened for me. So I was into competing. I wanted to compete in weightlifting in some way, shape, or form. So for me, that was an avenue where I could do it. My students could do it. And almost right as I got into it, the American style of kettlebell sport was coming up. That's where you can set the bells down. The Russian style, you have to hold them all 10 minutes and not put the weights down. If you do, then game over, get off the platform. But there was an American style kind of coming up where you could put the weights down and switch hands whenever you wanted to. It was just a total accumulation of the weight that you lifted. Well, I'm like, well, anybody can do that. And I'm owning a gym. So I want something where all of my members can do this, not just my 3 or 4 good lifters. I want all of my members to be able to participate, male, female, old, young, big, small. I wanted everybody in. And that was the catalyst that set my gym on fire. Ended up being one of the top kettlebell gyms in the United States for 8-9 years.
Wow. So when you competed yourself, were you competing in the American style of kettlebell sport?
My first two were Russian, and about my next 5 or 6 were American, because the Russian ones, I didn't have the connections to really host one. So my gym was hosting a lot of the American rules meets. I had like the main gym on the West Coast for it. So I just ended up naturally gravitating toward that. There's another league up in Northern California that will do a Russian meet once or twice a year. That was my only experience for it. So most of my training went for the American style, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So what will you do? So with the American style, is it the same movements? It's still like the snatch and the jerk and the long cycle?
There's more. There's actually 6 lifts.
Oh, I'm learning lots today already, Eric. What were the 6 lifts?
There's 6 lifts, 2 snatches, 2 jerks, and 2 long cycles, single and double kettlebell variations of each one. The double half snatch, if you've never done it in competition, you're not holding those bells 10 minutes. It's exhausting. It's a long way to lift the bells. Once your arms are shot, you're not getting those bells up there. So it doesn't work too well in the Russian style. It's more of like an interval, 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off. Most people follow that pattern, but the double half snatch is that lift that separated the American style from the Russian style. It's all the same lifts, plus a couple more.
Okay.
The other difference is we had people that were signing up for all 6 lifts in the same day and doing all 6 lifts.
And that's 10 minutes each, is it?
10 minutes each, and it was called the Iron Man or the Iron Woman if you did all 6. And because you could change hands and set the bell down, people weren't ripping their hands as bad, and you could actually go through it and do that. Where if that was Russian and you had to hold the bell for 5 minutes in a row and snap, your hands tore up after 1 or 2 sets. But so this allowed people to show up and not just do 10 minutes. They could do 3 lifts or 4 lifts or 6 lifts, and we had a lot of that actually.
Have you heard of this, Paul, at all? Because I've not heard of this American kind of competition.
No, I've heard of like pentathlons and stuff, half marathons and marathons. I've multi-switch, but never multi put down.
Yeah, there's set downs also. The league, the name of the league is called the IKLF, and I believe they use the term Bolt. Bolt is the name of their events.
Well, I mean, I think it makes sense because
it's so much more inclusive, isn't it?
It'll always be a niche sport otherwise, because it's just very uncomfortable. And so right. Saying someone like, you just got to get up 10 minutes. I mean, like you said, 8 years of your life. And it kind of takes a long time to condition your brain and your body to deal with those long sets. So if you want to be able to create this style as accessible to loads of people, then you kind of need to have that way of allowing people to regulate their kind of rest periods and stuff like that. Otherwise, they just go, nah, I don't need to be beaten up every night.
You know? I've had a great idea, actually, because obviously you've got an American style there. So like we should have a British style as well, where you can put the bell down and have a cup of tea.
There you go.
A cucumber sandwich or something, and then start again.
Yeah.
Well, Geordie style, where you have no top on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that sort of stuff. I mean, brilliant.
I'll tell you what, Eric, I love that the reasoning behind it, the fact that you said you wanted a form of competition that, you know, all your members could get involved in, and it could be, you know, young and old, male and female, right. Big and small. I think that's such a great inclusive kind of
right.
You know, way of thinking.
There's no gym. There's no Russian kettlebell sport gym that has 50 members inside of it. It doesn't exist anywhere in the world. And I didn't want to fall into that either. I wanted something. I didn't want to be CrossFit. I didn't want to have a sport where only 3 people could do it. Like when we had an event, I had 20 to 30 lifters of mine in that event. And you can imagine the gym party afterwards. So it just built really good morale amongst the entire gym. People are making friends, and, you know, pretty soon the dads are watching the UFC fights together, and the moms are going to the farmers walks, the farmers markets together, and the kids are playing together. So you really helped to build the gym, having something like that where everybody could talk about it. Yeah,
that was a great Freudian slip there, by the way. He said farmers walk instead of farmers market. That is brilliant. I love that. What's good about this, though, what you're saying is because it looks like, you know, moving on a little bit, it looks scary, doesn't it? Like this unconventional training, swinging big chunks of metal around and swinging maces around your head and Bulgarian bags and all of that sort of stuff. It looks hard. It looks like it would hurt. And people are quite intimidated by it, aren't they? But then when you actually learn how to do it and you learn the techniques and stuff like that, it's I suppose it's what you might have used to have called functional training, of like, it's more kind of, you've got to pick stuff up and move it around and move it from here to there. And you don't do it in a strict form style, do you? You have to like move stuff around. So therefore it allows your body to move in different directions under load, which most people are going to need in their lives, aren't they?
You know, I got that fear thing with the mace, and I still get it. I still get people that are like, I don't want to touch that thing. I'm afraid of that. But the kettlebell, you know, the competition kettlebells never really scared anybody. Maybe like in the very beginning, but, you know, a new client would walk in and I'd hand them like a pink, you know, one of the light little 8-kilo kettlebells. And they were shocked. It was, oh, this thing looks so big. I thought it was so heavy, but it's actually light. It's just kind of like filled around the outside. So as soon as they would touch them, I had people like in love with the kettlebell. Let me back up though. Since I'm a very niche gym and there's no other real kettlebell or mace or Bulgarian bag gym around, if somebody came into my gym, they were already sold. I didn't really have to. It's not like an LA Fitness where you got to talk them into it. They were already interested in kettlebells and maces and bags when they walk in the door. So I never really had a problem with sales, just because if they're in front of me, they're in front of me for a certain reason. They want to learn kettlebells and they want to learn maces. So
I think I think what Pete said is so true, that when people first see these sort of things, they may be intimidated by them if they just see them on like Instagram or YouTube or something, because so many people in their mind, if you speak to the general population who maybe don't exercise at the moment and you ask them to, right, what's a gym, they will tell you that conventional type of gym that you said. Oh, well, it's rows of treadmills, there's exercise machines, you know, there's that's the vision that most people have of exercise, isn't it, if they're not into this sort of thing themselves. So I can see how they may think, oh, that looks, I couldn't maybe do that, you know, and it's scary and it's intimidating. And
I also think the amount of people who've got bad backs in the world, who see this stuff and think that's going to make it worse. And it's like,
and
learn how to do it properly, it actually makes it better. And
sitting on a machine with a backrest and, you know, just doing a little chest press here looks much safer, doesn't it? If that's going to keep me safe. That's going to keep me, you know, not vulnerable, you know. But I think when they meet a coach like, you know, Eric or any of us guys, you know, it's all in the coaching and the moving, isn't it? So do you have a very
did you have?
Yeah, sorry, Paul, go on.
I was about to say, given that a lot of people self-selected, i.e. they were looking for this kind of training, what kind of people did you get? Did you get total beginners, or did you get people who were just disillusioned with the current training that they were doing, or was it people who were very focused on coaching? What was the kind of person who was coming to you?
One sec. My car alarm just went off. All beginners. I got no CrossFitters, I got no bodybuilders, I got no power lifters. It was all average Joe, average Jane, 75% female, 25% male. 18 out of the age range, I'd say mostly 30 to 50 was my age range that I would get. I didn't get too many youngsters. They want to go do CrossFit. They want to go in the little, you know, the running clubs. So I had mostly an upper age range, mostly female. My two most popular professions were nurses and teachers. I think as the nurses see everybody sick at the hospital and don't want to be healthy, and the teachers would just be going nuts from the kids all day. They just want to go swing a mace and slam a hammer and.
And it sounds to me like the kind of community you built up, like you said, with these competitions that you used to host, and this kind of camaraderie and community, and people, you know, going to the farmers market together, and people watching the UFC together, and this whole kind of kids playing together. I'd imagine you get a lot of, you know, referrals and people seeing, you know, people telling each other about it and creating quite a buzz from the sound of it.
Yeah. You offer some kind of a referral program, and usually when they'll post on their social media, because no other gym's doing anything like I'm doing, that no other gym has the big cartoon size competition bells, and what are you swinging this big giant mace? What is that? I've never seen that. So that kind of shock effect when it goes up on social media, I usually always get questions.
Yeah.
And very commonly,
why do you think you got 75% women? I mean,
because we were class based, and men have a hard time going into anything that's a class that's not a CrossFit or a weightlifting class. You know, they see these big kettlebells. They usually don't know how to use them. If I get a 300-pound bench presser in my class, he's starting out with a 12-kilo bell, maybe a 16, like at the heaviest. And you look around the room, and the women are all launching 20s and 24s. It can be kind of intimidating for your average weightlifting guy. You know, he's got to check his ego for the first couple sessions until he learns it. So I didn't get too many males. Women would bring their husbands, boyfriends, had a lot of that. But I didn't get a lot of like walk-in males with previous weightlifting experience that were looking for just something new. That was actually very rare.
And what's the, I know we've obviously had Rick, Mr. Mace Man, on the podcast twice, and I know you're good friends with Rick, and you use the mace you've mentioned as well. And you've actually invented a very, I've seen the massive blue mace that you've created. What's that? Do you want to talk about that?
So that, I didn't actually invent those. There was a company making those prior to me called Evil Monkey. And when me and Rick first got together in 2013, we did our first workshop in June of 2013. And we had partnered up with this local lady who was making these maces. And she was a power lifter, and it was just a kind of like a side job they were doing because her husband was a welder. So he was doing the welding, the sandblasting. He was kind of making the maces. So we partnered with her, and that was my first experience with it. I was like, oh my God, I love these things. This is a cool freaking mace. Forget these little ones. It's kind of like driving a Corvette and then going back to a Camry. So I just loved them. And that company went out of business about 2016, 17. The couple split apart. They canceled the company. These maces got lost in space. And I'm like, if they're gone, I'm taking this company. I'm going to start making these things, you know. I could have done it the whole time, but I didn't want to step on her toes, you know, out of respect. But if they're gone, you know, I want this company. I love these maces. I'm in the same area. I have access to the same powder coater, sandblaster, welder. I can make these things too. And she was like, kind of snickering, like, yeah, go ahead and go for it, man. See how you do. I didn't know they would be such a pain in the butt to make, from materials runs to the gas and time to run stuff and pick stuff up. You know, you got to drop it off. They got to pick it up a few days later, drop it off at this guy, pick it up a few days later. So it's kind of a pain in the butt, but it's a passion project. And I love these maces. And I love those cartoon size water-filled maces from the second I picked them up. I almost never swing regular maces anymore. That's
can I just say, for the people who aren't watching on YouTube, we had Tracy on the other week, and we had almost like a dog episode talking about her new dog Walker, and you've got a friend who keeps popping up behind you. It looks like a beautiful dog.
So, oh no, she don't want to get on camera. It's a husky. She was born on 10/10/10. It's pretty easy to remember the birthday, but we got a husky, man. You want to stay in shape, just get yourself a husky, because you got to run them 2 or 3 times a week. You won't have a problem getting out. Awesome dog.
What's your husky's name?
Nikita.
Lovely.
Russian dog, Russian name. I got out Google, and that's the one I liked.
Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic.
In fact, I was a big pro wrestling fan growing up, and when I saw Nikita, one of my old favorite pro wrestlers was Nikita Koloff. I thought that guy was just crazy. So I actually named after Nikita Koloff.
Do you take her out to sessions with you as well?
What's that?
Do you take her out to sessions with you as well?
Yes, I do.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, that's great. So it's called the hydro mace, isn't it? This water. So what the original mace that the couple were making before, was that one that you also filled with water or not?
Yes, you also filled that with water, but they had the spout on the side of the mace or on the bottom of the mace, which as kind of like a design flaw, I feel like that can, it could have nicked somebody. It could have sliced somebody's calf in the back. It just wasn't in a good place. So we moved the spout to the very top of the mace. So you fill from the actual top. It's never going to hit anybody that way. So, and the large size, the big 12-inch globe is the size of a basketball on the very top, attached to a 4-foot pole. So you got actually 5 feet of mace. It comes pretty close to your calf and your Achilles tendon down here. We don't want anything getting sliced down there, obviously. So we just moved the spout, and we have a little higher quality globe on the very end. And aside from that, we kept the product pretty much exactly the same.
Yes, I mean, if people, obviously, we'll talk about your Instagram and stuff later again, but if people follow you, they'll see you swinging this beautiful, massive hydro mace on the beach and everything near where you are. And yeah, it just looks spectacular. You must get quite a few people coming up and talking to you or asking you questions, do you, when you're doing that?
All the time. If I go to the beach, it's I almost can't get the full workout in. Someone's gonna come up to me and want to film and try it out. Like a lot of people grab it, and the first thing they do is it's usually bicep curl it. Then they try to press it. And then I show them how to swing it, and they don't want nothing to do with that, obviously. But every time, hey, these are potential clients, potential customers. They're gonna know about my gym after that. In fact, just a few weeks ago, I was swinging the mace on the beach. In Seal Beach, and about an hour later I go on Instagram and I put in #Seal Beach, and some lady was on the pier filming me from the very top of the pier down, and I saw myself on some random lady's feed, so I messaged her, and now she's one of my followers.
Excellent. And what about again, you could probably explain what these are, because we know what they are, but a lot of people who are listening might not. But you also I've seen you use Bulgarian bags quite a lot, which is something I've never used before myself. But what is a Bulgarian bag? What do you use it for? And as you're on as an unconventional trainer, you can kind of help us. What is a Bulgarian bag? What do you use it for? And how did you get involved in them? And how long have you been using them for?
Well, I got into them because they are the sandbag of the wrestlers. It's kind of a croissant shaped sandbag with 2 handles on the end, where if me and you were going to wrestle and we were going to start off in a classic head and elbow tie, the handles are shaped on the Bulgarian bag just how you would grab an opponent for wrestling. Whereas a traditional sandbag, the handles are on the sides, they're more square. The Bulgarian bag is shaped like a croissant. Okay, what this allows you to do is rotate the bag in a spinning motion around the body and around the head, very, very fast and very efficient. Unlike a square sandbag, which gets very blocky and is not very smooth when you spin it. So the movements that you would do with the Bulgarian bag are more suited for like what you would need for like a wrestling match. It's a lot of speedy rotations, arm throws, a lot of ground work, kind of cool. But I got into it because our Olympic wrestling team uses Bulgarian bags. I seen, man, you know how fit Olympic wrestlers are. They're some of the most fit people on the planet. So when I see an Olympic wrestler getting trashed by a 35-pound Bulgarian bag, I'm like, okay, there's something to that because he's really strong. That's not heavy for him. And then you get into the training and everything is fast. Everything is speedy. The cardiovascular component you get from a Bulgarian bag, I would say, supersedes most of your kettlebell training because you have to go with a really heavy bell to get the same conditioning you would get off a very light Bulgarian bag. Because the movements in nature with the bag are very fast, full body rotation. It's like you're in a freaking wrestling match. It's exhausting. Even with a 25, 35-pound bag, anybody in this room right now would get a rocket heart rate from it with just the basic movements. So I liked it right away. The other thing I noticed too is if my students were coming every single day, I had people coming all 5 days out of the week. I got to have different workouts, right? More importantly, I got to have something where if Susie Joe comes in on Monday and she's sore, I would like to have something on Tuesday that's not, more cleans, more presses, more snatches. I'd like to kind of get away from that, maybe have a workout that's a little bit lighter in nature. And that was the Bulgarian bag. So students would be sore from the kettlebells, but hey, come back the next day. You can use a 20-pound Bulgarian bag, get a rocking workout. Even if you're sore, you can still do it and come back Wednesday and pound the bells again. So it kind of filled in that gap in between days where you don't have to go so heavy. You can still get a rocking workout, don't have to lift anything heavy, and still kind of fit the bill. Okay. I also felt like when I compared it to the main movements with the mace, like if you're going to look at the 10-2 and the 360 with the mace, I feel like the spin of the Bulgarian bag is almost the equivalent of like a deadlift to swing. Now the deadlift is the big heavy hinge and the swing is the short, quick, fast hinge. One's heavy and slow, one's quick. Well, you can kind of compare the mace and the Bulgarian bag like that with overhead rotational strength. If you're going to be swinging a big, heavy, slow mace around the head, compare that to the exact same thing as the Bulgarian bag. You're just going fast, 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 fast. So I kind of felt, saw the relationship kind of like the deadlift swing relationship to the mace Bulgarian bag relationship. And so that just kind of linked them all together. And I'm like, okay, the kettlebell, the bag, the mace, these are my three. I can cover everything from speed, strength, stability, wrestling specific. I can train fighters this way. And the Bulgarian bag was the third link that brought everything together for me.
Is your diet unconventional as well? I mean, do you follow?
Very unconventional.
Is it the way you teach? I mean, obviously the equipment you use is, non-typical. It's different to say Planet Fitness or Virgin Gyms or something like that. Is the way you progress people, is the way you set goals, is the way you coach nutrition or do nutrition yourself, does that follow a similar pattern? Are you throwing people different angles when it comes to their goals?
The nutrition around here is kind of one of those things that I always kind of referred it out. I always had somebody on staff that was a little better than me. Like we always had somebody that had like a precision nutrition or was just generally more well-versed than me. I drink a lot. I eat a lot of steak. I'm a meat and potatoes guy. I eat your pretty traditional Irish food, which isn't going to work for clients that are trying to lose weight. And great for powerlifters and stuff, but I always kind of referred my clients' nutrition out. And plus, around here, there's kind of this thing where dietitians kind of have the rule of the land around here. You don't want to kind of step on their toes because if something goes wrong, they get sick, they have an allergy, and you're the one that wrote that, yeah, you're in trouble. And they can sue the crap out of you.
Is there a lot of, there's a different legal structure over there? Is it you can give advice, but you can't give meal plans or something?
I can guide you, I can help you, I can advise, but I cannot write something down and say, you need to eat this, you need to do this. If something happens, I'm directly liable, yeah.
But you could coach like the amount of protein that someone has. You could coach the amount of carbohydrates. That would be fine.
Yeah, that's basic stuff.
Basic stuff's fine. Yeah.
But I always had somebody that was kind of more sound than me on there. I had this one student. She was precision nutrition certified, and she was kicking ass with everybody. It didn't matter if what your background was, what your issues were. She was really good with everybody. We had 3 clients lose 100 pounds in that gym. even though we're not like a weight loss gym. It just, you know, you need to lose some weight, buddy.
Yeah.
Are you pretty upfront with them, or do they just come to you and say, look, hey, I need to do this? Or you just say, hey, you know,
I'm pretty blunt about it. In order for me to make money, you need to keep coming and you need to keep getting like results. And when I got guys that are 300-400 pounds, they don't typically stick around if it's just getting better at the kettlebells. You know, if they're getting better at the kettlebells, they're involved with the community, they feel the support, and they're losing weight, there's no way they're going to quit. They're going to keep coming. So it's in my best interest to give them good training, good advice. So the results are happening and they're going to keep coming. They're going to keep paying. It's a win-win situation.
Mm.
Do you get much kickback from honesty? I mean, how do people receive honesty? Because some people receive it well, don't they? And some people, you know, react to it.
Maybe in the beginning, but after they've known me a while, they're like, okay, this guy just, yeah, I mean, I'm going to tell you how it is. That's my job. It's my job to be tough. It's my job to kind of be a little bit of a dick to tell you, you know, the real situation. Maybe your wife's not going to tell you what needs to be done, but I will.
The thing is, though, you have to have that, right? You have to have trainers who are a bit more, what would the word be?
Direct.
Oh.
No, like the other way, like a bit more kind of compassionate and what have you, because some people will gravitate towards that. But some people, if you like that, they'll just not listen to you. They'll be like, no, I need to be told what to do. And they might be looking for that. So then it's like, you know, that's what they'll respond to. So that's absolutely fine.
I have a few people who respond really well to that, but you got to kind of feel out each person. Some people respond really well to it, and some people just kind of shell up and get shy. You know, maybe something happened to them and that's just not not the way they learn. You know, I had the wrestling coach that was a total ass and yelled and thought that, you know, yelling at people would get everything done. So I don't do that. That didn't work for me. But I do sense when I've had a few people like that, like especially competition, that need to be yelled at and need to be pushed. And they grew up like that. And maybe they played football when they were growing up, and that's just how it was. And that's what they need. And I can do that, but I don't like to.
I think it's important to be honest at every point, you know, because you're not being paid to facilitate bad previous or you know, behaviors that keep the status quo. And in order to kind of break from the status quo, all those habits, you have to be sometimes blunt, or at least up front. I mean, I have this with the 12-week program that we run, it's Amazing 12, and in a way it's quite join the dots. You know, you just show up, you know, you do the workout as it's written, you eat according to the system, and the body changes. But it's surprising how hard it is sometimes to keep people on track or keep people focused on something that will work. I mean, we had discussions online. I think, James, you started a Facebook conversation, and Peter, you chimed in. And I think one of my responses to one of your posts was that, you know, 50% of people actually take the medication that's going to cure them. So it's how you sometimes say, look, you're paying me to get a result, and I know what it's going to take. So if you turn around to me and say, look, I can't do it because of this, or I'm busy or whatever, I say, I'll understand, but I'm not, all I'm going to turn around to you and say is like, well, we got to sort it out. We've got to find a way around it. Otherwise you're just going to end up back where you were. And I get that it's tough. I get that you're probably in a difficult situation, but what can we do? Otherwise we just end up back where we are. And finding that level to communicate is really the art, isn't it?
Just having that little conversation that you just said in the last minute right there, that usually does it right there. Pulling somebody aside and having that exact little heart-to-heart, eye contact talk, like, look, I want you to succeed, and you can do it here, but I need to see you. You need to be in here. I mean, even if I got to put in like my own time, have that conversation with them usually locks them in.
Yeah. I mean, did your friend, when you were training with your friend back in your late teens, early 20s, was it that kind of thing? It was just like, hey mate, just tag along, and you just eventually got a bug for it? I mean,
no, because I was losing weight, so there was no reason to stop.
Yeah,
the results were happening, and you don't quit if the results are. I don't care how boring it is. If you're getting results, you'll keep going. I don't care if you're just on a bicep freaking program. If you're getting results, you're going to keep going.
Do you come across a lot of people though that don't really know what the result is that they want? Because I mean, sometimes it's weight loss, sometimes it, you know. And then they're just saying, well, I'm not sure if I'm happy with what I'm doing. I don't know what I want. You know, do you get that?
I kind of get frustrated with that. Yeah. Like I have a lot of students who don't pick goals, don't care they just want a workout. They don't care. Oh, you just want to work out today. I don't care what we do. You pick, Eric. And that kind of gets frustrating because I program my workouts by the goals that we want to achieve together. And if you don't have any goals and you don't care what you're doing, how can I care what you're doing? You know, I mean, I can pick goals and I can pick this, but at the end of the day, if you don't care about them and you're not putting the effort toward them, I'm just kind of making up random workouts all day. And I hate that. I love to be a little more program oriented. You having a goal that gives us little markers in the training to get to and little victories along the way. If you don't have those and you're just randomly training, you don't know if you're getting better. You just know you're getting sweaty and you're working out.
And that's the word, isn't it? You're getting better, you know, and better is going to be a multitude of things, but you have to be seeing progression in whatever area that you're focusing on.
Right. And progress isn't always more weight or another exercise. Sometimes progress is just feeling better about what you're doing or getting through the set a little bit easier or cleaner technique. It's not always more weight. It's not always, you know, hitting a 300-pound deadlift, you know, just feeling better and cleaner about what you're already doing is actually progress. And sometimes that's what you get week to week to week. With kettlebells, you don't always jump a new kettlebell every time you come back. You're going to spend some time on each kettlebell prior to moving up to the next one. And you got to kind of pay your dues there.
Got to pay your dues, exactly. I mean, I've had quite a few clients, I'm sure we all have, who've had COVID in the middle of things, you know, in the middle of progress. You know, I've had clients who signed up 2 weeks later, they met someone at work and they had COVID. And then all of a sudden that initial, because you get people with an initial kind of momentum, don't you? They sign up and they're like, yeah, let's do this. And then boom, something happens. And then they suddenly some people get through it. Some people just tail off. And, you know, if you can't see, you know, success for that person, maybe just like you got back on track, you're showing up again, you know, it's shifted your weight loss goals by a month, but you're back on track again, you know, and you've got to think outside the box sometimes with these things.
And I could feel that coming, you know, we're a small gym, you know, 30 to 50 members. So when someone's coming all the time, getting results and they're kind of on their kick, you can feel it in the class. You can see they're more intense. They're asking more questions. They're there early. They're putting more effort into their workouts compared to someone who's just, you know, coming and going, no plan, no goals. There's just a different vibe on these people who are on their kick and are here for a couple of weeks to a few months hard, and they want a freaking result.
Do you manage to bring anyone back from that edge where they're getting despondent? Do you have ways of saying, hey, look, we can get you back on track? Do you see many people turn the ship?
At the end of the month, we would usually do kind of like a check. We would do like a member check. Who haven't we seen? Who kind of seems like they're not liking it? And we would kind of get on our cell phones and either call, text, try to get a meeting with these people and just try to bring them back in. We would do that about it at the end of every month. And there was always 5, 6, 7 people that we were like, okay, you need to contact them or they're just, their credit card's not going to go through. So I mean, that could be a difference of $1,000 to $1,500 there. So it's worth it to get on the phone and send some texts or call them and check on them. And some of them, that's all they need. You know, maybe they felt lost and just that one phone call is like, hey, the coach actually noticed that I wasn't coming. I should get back in this week.
I do that with my guys. Because again, same as you. I mean, I'm outside, but we there's not loads of members and that, so I know everybody personally and all of that. And then if I haven't seen someone for a little while, I'll just literally send them a text and just say, you know, how is everything? That's all haven't seen you for ages. You haven't been blah, blah. It's just, how is everything? And that's it. Right. And all I'm looking for is a response. And then I can start having a conversation. You know, and that's the difference between like, you know, big global gyms and all that sort of stuff, who basically just take your money every month, sign you up to a 12-month contract, and then they don't care if you go or not.
Exactly.
And in this model of actually, I don't make a living if you don't show up, because you're going to tail off, you're going to cancel, you know, you're probably not going to be on a contract. I won't be able to enforce the contract anyway, because it's not worth the paper it's written on, and it's not worth the money to try and enforce it and all that sort of stuff. So it's a mutual relationship and that sort of thing. But that's what people respond to, though, isn't it? And that's why places like because that's the way we all deal with stuff, and that's why it works. You know, and the only reason it doesn't work is because the person is just like, I don't want to do that. And it's like, right. But then you'll be like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, and you're going to have some of those. I've had some of those. And,
yeah,
as a coach, you don't want to get in that situation where you want it for them more than they want it for themselves. Cause then it's hard work. It's a lot of stress on the coach.
Well, you end up taking the loss. You end up taking the, feeling if they don't progress, you end up feeling it on their behalf, don't you? And it's that's just a very bad way to go.
Because they've been telling their friends and their family for months how they're so excited to train at this famous kettlebell gym and blah blah blah. Well, you still look the same, Joe. It's obviously not working over there. Maybe you should try different. And so that's so at least in my mind, that's what's going on. If someone's not getting results, what is going on? These are his entire network are potential clients for me. So my business card is stapled to your freaking forehead. If you get results, all your coworkers, your family, your neighbors are going to see that. Someone's going to want to come in and do the same thing, even if it's just one. That could mean.
I'll tell you what's been really good. Paul posted a thing the other day about one of his clients who had gone to get a jab, one of the jabs, one of them anyway, one of the 10 jabs you've got to have or whatever it is. And they'd sent him a text message saying that the nurse commented on their arm, didn't they, and said how
he commented on the muscle tone of a deltoid.
That's happened. That's happened to 3 of my guys.
Yeah. So they go in there and they go, "Oh, you've got nice delts."
One of them, in fact, it was one of the ladies who comes along. The nurse was like, "Can you just relax your arm?" And she's like, "It is relaxed." And she's going, "No, like feel that. It's not relaxed." She goes, "No, it is. That's just muscle."
Did they come in a bit like Bruce Forsyth doing this?
I had that happen from a lady who was in a car accident. I had this lady about 3 years. She was in a car accident. She had some kind of surgery on her back, and the doctor told her, "I don't know what you do, but your back muscles are in phenomenal shape." And all she'd ever done was kettlebells. I'm like, that's a testimony right there. Exactly. The doctor ripped you open and noticed something was a little bit different back there than a traditional body.
So yeah, he's like, "Can you get us the chisel?" We're gonna have to.
So Eric, you I know you did originally have a facility, and you're now back in a facility in California, aren't you? You said before we started recording. So do you now do most of your work outside and on the beach and things, or are you kind of 50-50 kind of outside and inside a gym, or what's the kind of split for you now?
As of November 1st, yeah, I'm 50. I'm actually all indoors right now because it's freezing cold over here. You can't even train outdoors if you wanted to. But
I bet it's not freezing cold.
I was sick of it anyway. I couldn't even. The amount of times I got hurt outdoor training was just astounding to me. I got more injuries doing the damn outdoor. I dropped kettlebells on my foot. I'd open my truck door, kettlebells would fall out and freaking hit me. I blasted one of my elbows out, pulling kettlebells off the back seat.
Did you do a health and safety assessment?
Oh God, it was a nightmare. I've never been so injured in my life. I had to stop and go back indoors because I didn't want to do this anymore. The outdoor training was just beating the crap out of me. My 5-year lease for my gym was up March 1st, the month that the lockdowns hit in 2020. So I was literally able to skate out of my lease with no problems. And I just moved right across the street. There's a nice park across the street and I got the beach. So I kept all my clients except for 2 and started training them at the beach and the park at the exact same price, minus the overhead of the gym, minus the insurance, minus the credit card fees. And it was literally the most profitable move I've ever made in the fitness business in my entire life. So, but after the second winter, the first winter, everybody was still locked down, so we didn't have a choice. But here we are in the second winter on this, and just no one's going to do the outdoors anymore. People are sick of it. They want to go indoors. Gyms are opening up now, so I'm not getting as many sales on the outdoor thing. So I chose to move back into a friend's gym and pay a small rent and just train my clients there. But I mean, for the first year and a half of COVID, I've never made that much in my life. It's great. I mean, I could just throw on a pair of flip-flops and drive my truck to the park across the street and I'm there. I'm at work. No gas, no traffic, no freeway. It was great.
Excellent. And now though, you're
adaptable, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's the benefit of, like you say, that unconventional training that you were already doing indoors.
Exactly. I have all the good equipment. I have all the good equipment. Yeah. I had maintenance bags, bells, ropes, chains, tie. and I have a full-size truck. So I just loaded my truck up with everything, and I was like a little portable gym everywhere I went. You know, I mean, and
did you ever consider, there's a guy, Rob Blair used to do this. So there's the Commando Temple in London.
I'm familiar with that gym, yeah.
Yeah, and he used to train people in a park, I think, and he had an old like Land Rover or something like that, and he put bars on the side of it and everything, so you could he put this like metal
smart
like bar on that, like welded it to the top, so you could do pull-ups on it and all of that sort of stuff, and you could hang like TRXs or whatever jungle gym type stuff to them and everything as well. Absolutely fantastic.
That is unconventional training right there. You make the most with what you got, even if it's your car.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Eric, it's been so lovely to talk to you. I mean, like I say, we hadn't actually connected, via, apart from a few messages online, but it's fascinating talking to you. And I absolutely love I've learned so much actually in this conversation with regards to the, one of the great things was the American kettlebell sport kind of style and the way that works, which I'd never heard of before. And the way that you incorporated that into your gym and your community and made it so inclusive. I mean, I absolutely love that. And just everything really about the way you train and the philosophy you've got for moving outside, and the beach and the park and all that stuff is great. And the Bulgarian bag stuff. That's all kind of new to me as well.
I definitely recommend getting one of those. It'll sort of be a third link in your training. I honestly feel, and that's why my logo is those 3 black and white silhouettes. One has a kettlebell, one has a mace, one has a bag. I feel like those are my 3 tools. That's if I didn't have anything else, I could get away with just those 3 and have a full program with no knocks.
Yeah.
And so,
no, that's brilliant. Pete, do you have anything you'd like to say to Eric, or any final thoughts at all?
No, it's been really good actually. That like you just said about the American sport style. I didn't know anything about that. That's really interesting. So yeah, because I'm similar with my guys. Like you say, you want everyone to be able to get involved. We don't like compete in stuff and everything, but like we'll have little challenges and stuff outside, and it's just really good that everyone can get involved.
Yeah,
regardless of how big, because some of the guys are huge and some are like little like me, and some are old, some are like 10, 15 years older than the other people, but they can all compete at their own level,
right,
with their own bell as well. And
I had ladies. I have a national champion in her 60s.
Yeah,
she's over 200 pounds.
Yeah, but this is what's great about it, and it's the term unconventional training in my world. It's not unconventional. It's just what we do, and it's everywhere. Because basically, lots of people are following Instagram and everything I see. It's like an echo chamber. Everyone's doing it, but they're not. This is the thing.
It's older than old school, man. It was here before the machines were, and it'll be here after the machines are gone. We'll still be swinging tree branches, doing pull-ups off parking signs, whatever it takes. When there's no gym, you can still get it done.
Well, I used to do pull-ups on a tree branch, but the local council cut it off. The tree's still there, but they cut the branch off.
They actually stopped that here too, because people were suing the city. They'd get hurt on some of the public equipment, and then they would sue the city. Believe that?
Oh dear.
Mr. Paul Bassett, do you have anything you'd like to say as we wrap up? You're muted at the moment, Paul.
I'm always doing this. It's mainly because there's just always background noise, and I'm trying to spare everyone from that. But no, it's great to hear kind of how you kind of. I mean, I like how direct your training is as well. It may seem like it's left of center for someone who's used to the kind of conventional kind of bodybuilding machinery, kind of typical legs, bums, and tums. This sounds kind of way out there, but actually, it's something that's very direct. Right. It's a very direct way of doing things, and it's a very I think sometimes it's the machines and the most of the modern kind of options out there are quite removed from how people actually want to be in the gym, and it kind of adds a layer of kind of a disconnect for the average person. I think it's probably why you see so many women there, because there's, like you say, there's no, I mean, how do you measure yourself? I mean, we know how you measure yourself on the mace, but it's not like, say, how much do you bench? It's not like you can measure someone's strength or their athleticism in a typical way, you know. So it's something that kind of resets people's perception of what they can do. And I suppose
it kind of brings everybody under the same like umbrella. We can all do the same workout at the same time with the same tools. You may be going a little heavier than me, but we're all kind of suffering together doing the same thing. Exactly. That doesn't happen on the bench press. That doesn't happen on the deadlift bar. It's a whole different feeling, a workout feeling with people with the unconventional tools.
Is that Nikita? Is it having a bar?
I think she has to take a poop.
Oh, okay. Just very quickly, Eric, before we leave you, if people want to follow you, and I'd highly recommend they do, and find out more about you, what's the best way for people to do that?
Instagram, I check most often. Just look under unconventional _athlete. That's me.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Eric. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, and hopefully people have listened to this on New Year's Eve, and they can make a fresh start tomorrow. Yeah, make a fresh start tomorrow. Exactly. Thank you so much, Eric. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening. Please do like, share, subscribe to the Health Oddity channel. If you'd like to join the Facebook group, just go to Facebook, search under groups Health Oddity, and click on join, and then we'll let you in there. I think Tracy Rifkin's in there now as well. She came in after the last podcast. And if you are listening on a platform that allows you to leave a review, please do leave a review as well. And we'll be back with you next week. We've got some great guests lined up already for 2022. So we look forward to another cracking year. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
You've been listening to Health Odyssey with Peter Lant, Paul Bassett, and James St. Pierre. To get your regular fix of hype-free health, you can subscribe and leave a review wherever you get your favorite podcasts. You can find out more on today's and other topics at healthodyssey.com, or find us on Facebook or Instagram by searching for Health Oddity.